Hello, we are back for part 3, and we are continuing with sage, and we are moving on from our discussion about Salvia apiana, white sage. So for now, because we're going to return to it in a million different ways. So not that way though, please, not that way. Okay, so let's see. There we go. And okay. So we did the red common sage. Let me put you guys back up so I'm not looking to the crazy places here. And then we have the white sage. And then we also have this Salvia mellifera, which is black sage. And that is lovely. That also grows all over here and it is beautiful. It is, I think it's different, but it is aromatically very beautiful and very similar aromatically, but a little bit different. So the leaves are definitely different. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to read this. I'm going to read this. So this is to sage, about sage. But hail, thou goddess, sage and holy, hail, divinest melancholy, whose saintly visage is too bright to hit the sense of human sight, and therefore to our weaker view o'erlaid with black, stayed wisdom's hue, black, but such as in esteem Prince Memnon's sister might beseem, or that starred Ethiop queen that strove to set her beauty's praise above the sea nymphs and their powers offended, yet thou art higher far descended. I love that.
Nice.
So the correspondences to sage. The element is air, and that doesn't matter what kind. It was always air. But the planet is, if it's white sage, it's either Jupiter or Venus. And if it was just the common sage, it's only Jupiter. So I saw. The astrological sign with white sage is Leo, and with common sage is Taurus. And you know what? I believe it. Like Leo, it looks like a Leo. That white sage is the Leo-iest fucking shit I've ever seen, with its like bright, soft, like white leaves all like Leo'd out, and it's like purple, like bulbous flowers coming up. So, and Taurus is pretty earthy and like grounded and things. So even though very beautiful and tethered to beauty and all its things. Anyway, so the tarot card is the high priestess. Also, the Taurus is the food aspect and the earthiness that adds to it, because you can eat that red sage. That red sage is for cooking. So the tarot card that I've seen associated with everything is the high priestess, interestingly enough. And I don't know if that disappoints. I don't think it does. So the Sabbat or ritual, so the only one that I saw tied with a Sabbat or ritual actually was white sage, and it's tied to coming of age ceremonies for women, women's naming ceremonies, and also autumn and Yule. That's obviously a later addition. So the chakra, again, with white sage, it aligns the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. So we're talking about the lower chakras. So that's an interesting thing. It's like, what are the lower chakras? The characteristics of the self. So we have like courage, creativity, and connectedness. So interesting. Goddesses. So, and then to flip it around, because white sage is like of the Americas, or like North and South American continents, like that sort of herb. But the common herb is for the European continent and the Middle East, a little bit, like in not the Middle East, but like more like the Mediterranean. So then you get like the goddesses that are associated with the Mediterranean. So Rihanna, or not the Mediterranean, but like that continent. So Venus, Artemis, Diana, Hygeia, and then Rhiannon is not exactly down there, but yeah, same con, same, not here, there. Okay, so sage, the parts used are the seeds and the leaves, and the plant info. The white sage is a bee food plant. So the black sage, it's sometimes called mugwort, is sometimes misnamed as black sage, but it is not black sage. Okay, there is a very different thing that is black sage, and it is not mugwort, even though mugwort is sometimes called black sage. And there's a reason why. We will find out. So first of all, we're going to look at the cultural importance of Salvia apiana. This is white sage. So we're going to honor the Kumeyaay. They're girls, when they're coming of age, they are said to lie on beds of sage leaves. So for these coming of age ceremonies. The Luiseño, the hunters burn it and they use it as a preventer of bad luck. It's used obviously as a blessing or a blessing for the hunt. There's other, though, Indigenous or First Nations that use it in a variety of other ways. So some nations use it as a gift or an offering. It's thought of as that. And then obviously, like we've heard about the smudging practice, which is a spiritual practice, and that uses smoke as a means of magical conveyance. Or anyway, many native people refer to white sage as a relative. So that's part of the problem too when you cultivate it. And when native and indigenous people are cultivating white sage or Salvia apiana, they do so with reverence. And so when you're cultivating it for just what's it called, for like to make money off of people, or to make money off of people thinking that they're buying like some native practice, and you're like a white person who's making money off of like that idea that some other white people are having, that they're buying into some native practice. Like, it sucks because like it's really a reverent thing for indigenous populations, some of them, because they cultivate it with such care and they take care of it with such care. So when we know these stories, it helps us to then, when we go and if we want to cultivate it, even if it's not on special land, like let's say that white sage or Salvia apiana is in your grows just on your land, like it's yours. Or let's say they're demolishing a big building, or they're demolishing a bunch of land and they're going to put up a big building, and it's all mapped out and there's sage all over it. And these developers, they don't give a crap about that sage, right? They're like going to just get rid of it. It's going to be like in a heap, in a pile. Nobody's like going through and like harvesting that sage and reverentially harvesting. Like, that might be a time when I would recommend like some sort of harvesting on property that wasn't yours. Although, whatever you do, I'm not going to judge. So, but I can say that like it gives us a sense that when you're harvesting white sage, you should do so with great reverence. Like, I harvest all my plants with great reverence. I harvest them all like they have devas and spirits inside, and I don't ever take it like for granted that, especially a plant that I'm going to use in magic or medicine, that I would harvest it with any of but the greatest reverence. Is kind of, it offends me as well. So I'm with people. It's kind of yucky that people would make money off of that and try to like swindle people and be profiteering and doing that stuff, because then again, we're introducing like these power structures into this beautiful like mother. Okay, so now we go on to the sage, the Salvia officinalis, which is this red sage, and its lore, stories, and cultural importance. So first, this is from China. So we see mention of this cooking sage in China. It's one of the ingredients in the elixir of life that the Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huang sought in his quest to live forever. Also with the druids. So now you can see kind of like this is, we're talking about the sage that you eat too. So this is like in another part of the world where, anyway, this happened a long time ago for other people as well with sage. Other people have connections to sage. Lots of cultures have connections to sage, and one of them is the Druids, and they used it in ceremonies and rituals to connect with the divine. Also, though, take care. So this isn't, I'm going to be as if this hasn't been a preachy enough moment in my life already. We're going to talk about that. It's got an importance in trade and commerce. So it's a spice trade herb. So
Which we've talked about before.
Yeah, we've talked about this plenty. We don't need to like regurgitate, rehash this and belabor this point, but any of these herbs that were used in the spice trade was fraught with using like spice and rum and humans. Like human flesh was in that triangular kind of marketeering there. So just know that if you're using it for money, it probably works for money, but it's probably not as
dirty money.
Yeah. Yucky money. So, and in Rome, sage was also, so this officinalis, Salvia officinalis, was also used in ritual dedication of priests to Jupiter. It was collected by priests in white robes that were all barefoot, and they were bathed specially. Sacrifices were made. So in special rituals to Jupiter dedication. In Greece, Strabo, the 1st century BCE geographer, said it was the most helpful of herbs in the garden. And it was offered to the hero Cadmus, the grandson of Poseidon and Nailu, the nymph, a nymph as well. In Europe, we've got more stories, so many. So this is, again, Salvia was called Salvia salvatrix. It was the sage, or sage the savior. And because it was in 4 thieves oil. So sometimes it was an ingredient this was a mixture that was vinegar that was often used, thought to preventative or salvific in the Black Death. So whether that's the case, it could have been because the Black Death, as we know, was bacterial. So unfortunately, it was probably transferred from the fleas and the rats and all sorts of things like that. But I can imagine that 4 thieves oil probably smells very repellent to fleas. And so that might have been some of like the draw for thieves oil as well. So
I think this is what, like the 3rd herb that we've talked about with the 4 thieves oil.
Yeah,
interesting.
And then all of the like lots of the modern essential oil companies have a 4 thieves blend. Like right. They all do. Like my mom has one that she has like the pump soap from, I don't know, one of the 2 biggies. You can imagine what the 2 big essential oil companies are. I don't know. She's got one of them. So
I think in the last, I don't even remember what the herb was, but when the last herb we did where I talked about it, I even posted like the recipe. Remember that's in like the French museum.
Yes, I love that. You did. Yes, so go back and find that. That was very fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
So then, I don't know why I used the same picture. I don't think I was supposed to use that picture, but oh well, because that's not, I have another picture. That's sad. Oh well. I had a picture of King Solomon's temple and it wasn't this, but it was used as a purification incense in King Solomon's temple. So it had a Bible mention. Anyway, so then we go into white sage and its magical properties, because there wasn't any real lore on black sage. So now we're moving into magic. So white sage, magical properties. So purification, of course, everybody is using it to purify your body, purify a space. It's much more like get something out of a space. At least the incense is like get bad stuff out of a space, instead of like a Palo Santo, which is also bring in positivity. I find it to be much more of like a get thee hence kind of purifier. But so for cleansing, of course, smudging is a sacred practice used by Indigenous people. smoke clearing or smoke cleansing is what we call it when people who are not Indigenous do this. So I don't know if it's exactly the same. In fact, I would hearken to say that it is not the same, but different cultures have smoke cleansing in a variety of ways, and it's very distinct probably to each individual culture. But the practice of smoke cleansing, I believe that smudging is a practice of smoke cleansing. That's maybe a way to say it. Smoke cleansing is like a larger umbrella, and smudging is like within that larger umbrella of smoke cleansing or smoke purification. And that's one type of smoke cleansing. So banishes, it's supposed to banish evil. It's also for healing. So inner strength, mental health. It's also a women's herb, and we know this because of the Kumeyaay. See, like, I think like a lot of times, like, we don't know, like, that's how we know it's a women's herb, because the Kumeyaay recognized it, that it was used for initiation ceremonies and bringing a woman, a little girl, into initiating her into womanhood. So now we know this about it. Initiations, transitions, also for trance states and spiritual awareness and consecration. So I think, yeah. So red sage, the magical properties for red sage. Immortality and longevity, because we saw with the Chinese emperor, right? And we saw that, like, in China, that there was part of the remedy that they were using for longevity and immortality. So we know that that's one of its magical properties. And along with most herbs that have this thing about immortality and longevity, usually what goes hand in hand with that is this wisdom thing. Because if it's immortality and longevity, you have wisdom. So some other plant life that I always bring in, we talked about before, where ginkgo biloba was one that was immortality and wisdom. And then also I always say the saguaro cacti or cactuses, like they are like an example of like longevity and immortality and wisdom as well.
I'd probably put eucalyptus in there as well, since we know it was around like before Pangea.
Yeah, I love that. Yep, exactly. Definitely put that in there. So so red sage is a woman's herb as well. And again, I cannot believe this. It only starts in gardens where women are the head of the household. I can't even believe both of those. I died. I'm like, is this a kitchen witch thing? Because if it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Funny. I'm like, okay. It's supposed to help connect you with animal guides. And it's, of course, lots of things, aphrodisiac, love, everything's about love. I think lots of people must have been all about love. And like, I think old women, you would just say, just take this for love. Yeah. Everything got associated with the love. So, here's, they have a special little thing to summon your true love. You get 12 sage leaves gathered at midnight, or on Christmas Eve, at midnight on Christmas Eve, or perhaps midnight on Midsummer, or perhaps the story goes that it's on Samhain on midnight. And you place these leaves in a saucer, and then you put the saucer in the drawer until the following midnight. And then the following midnight, you wake up, you throw open your window, and one by one, as the time of midnight strikes, as each toll strikes, boom, you drop a leaf down to the ground, boom. And this is going to summon your future husband. That sounds like a nightmare.
Sounds like a lot of work, waking up in the middle of the night to drop leaves. And
if I burn those leaves, can I just repel him, like, as they fall? Like, I burn, like, I think we can turn this to my uses. I think this is the starting of I know the midnight's a little bothersome for the older witch, so it's a little tiresome, I agree. I'm all with you there. I don't like, maybe we can change the midnight to like 3 in the afternoon. That's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
At 3 in the afternoon, and we only need 3
at 4:30, right before dinner.
3 in the, so this is my spell. Okay, this is to tell your future husband to kick sand. Okay, this is what you do. You gather 3 sage leaves, the mother, the maiden, and the crone. Okay, you gather 3 of them. And then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in any day you fucking want, because you're a fucking woman, so it fucking doesn't matter. On 3 o'clock, as the 3 bells toll, boom, 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 you drop those, you burn the leaves and you drop them out the window, burn into a dusty ash can. You get a dusty ash can that you burn them, drop them into. That's mine. That repels your future love. Goodbye. Stay away from me.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Okay. So red sage. So it's good for removing blocks. Like that. I like that. What's it called? That way, Abre Camino is one of my favorites. Cleansing, hex breaking, purification. It sounds very familiar. We're getting like some of these saming things and also I love it because now it seems like that would actually be very great for my reversing. My 3 sage leaf spell is looking much better with these new types of like purification, hex breaking, get out of me, reverse. I reverse that spell. Earth magic, grounding. The health of the plant is supposed to reflect the grower. Some of these plants have that quality. Like there's like, I don't know, divinatory of some sort. And I was thinking of, there was something, oh yeah. It also, that love spell reminded me of the one about cannabis. So remember that one on cannabis, and like in midnight and some special time of day, you were supposed to break into a church and you were supposed to plant like 12, like one of them said you're supposed to like sow 12 seeds or something like that. And the other one said that you were supposed to like throw a handful of cannabis seeds behind you as you were running out of the church. And then when you look back, you would see like a wraith in the figure of your true love. And if you didn't see a wraith, if you saw a tolling bell, or if you saw an empty coffin, then it would mean you'd be a spinster. I remember that one. So also glamoury, red sage is good for glamoury and healing. Okay, more magic. House blessings, protection. So again, the 4 thieves, the ingredients, it's also used as a protection against the evil eye. If you put some sage and some red sage in a yellow flannel bag. And you're supposed to grow near rue to make it more magical, interestingly enough. So we've had rue feature twice in our things because you're supposed to, it was like the parsley and rue were like from the Greek kind of like idiom, and now the rue features again because somebody else, maybe rue we should do, because somebody else told me like was all about rue recently. My friend Rebecca was like, she loves rue. There's also a story that you should be that sage, like this Salvia officinalis, should be gifted and planted by a friend if it's for your home. You're not, it's like it's your first tarot deck. You better not buy it. You have to be gifted it. I hate to even like send that message into the universe. Buy your deck. Do what you want. Buy your sage, for God's sake.
Better if you buy it yourself because you have more of a connection to it. I think
Exactly.
that's the dumbest thing.
You chose your sage, yeah.
Exactly. No kidding. I love those ones. I'm like, and then of course the money drawing thing that we talked about and the problems with that. So then we have black sage. Let me have some. So black sage. Okay, so this is also an interesting thing because it encourages visions and dreams and vivid dreams, and it's for cleansing. And it's also like mugwort is called black sage, and so there's like it's because there's like this magical kind of connection between black sage and mugwort, and it's like it like crosses at this encouraging visions and vivid dreams. So the medicinal qualities of Salvia apiana. So this is from, and I'm going to butcher all these names, the Cahuilla band of Indians, the Chumash, the Kumeyaay, the Mahuna, and other native nations. So this is some information that I got like that was referencing native practices. So it was used as a food spice, pinole. It was used in hygiene. So it was used as a shampoo, and it was used in deodorant as a deodorant. And it's used in cold remedy. So for cough, cold remedies, as a pain reliever, for headaches, and of course, even the Cahuilla and the Kumeyaay and other nations were all over that York. I swear they couldn't help themselves. None of us can. Apparently it's human. It's not cultural, it's human. I think probably like arthritis is just like a natural occurrence of, it's like death and taxes. It's like so certain that it's going to happen that like everyone on earth, like our joints degrade, like we oxidize, we break down. That's what humans do. And so part of that is getting arthritis. And so every culture has they want so badly for plants to help. I don't know how many do. I don't know how many it's real. Even the ones that are really tested, like turmeric, like I don't know that like when they really do those double blinds with this, I think there's much better evidence for a lot of these other remedies than the York. The York is just everywhere though. So it's on every single one.
Just so that we know.
Yes.
Just so we know, I have to go in 10 minutes.
Ooh, yikes. Okay, so I'll hurry. So fumigation, it was also used in fumigation for measles, tuberculosis, and smallpox. So be careful. I wouldn't be thinking that smallpox or measles is going to be fumigated out with any sage. So maybe once, if you have any of those infectious diseases around you, get thee to a doctor and quarantine and call the health organization because you need to quarantine. And then maybe like after anyway. So anyway, red sage, Salvia officinalis, the medicinal properties, it's carminative, spasmodic, and astringent, and antihydrotic, and anticatarrhal, and antimicrobial, and a menagogue, a febrifuge, and a stimulant. So it is used for throat and mouth issues, inflammation of mouth, gums, and tonsils, sore throats, it soothes mucous membranes. It's also good for the stomach. It's a carminative, so it's good for gas. A lot of these spices are good for like digestive herbs, are good for gas and stuff. Help your belly feel better after eating. Gastritis, enteritis. Red sage is also good externally. So it's used as a compress to promote healing, and because it's also a styptic too, so it will staunch bleeding. So you can make a styptic ointment. Anyways, it ends in 10 minutes anyway, so there you go. Okay, so it's also good for women's health. It stimulates your uterine muscles, and it stays milk flow. It's also good for leukorrhea and night sweats, and prevents excess saliva because of course we're like taking the water away, and antihydrotic. It's also good for nervous headaches, and I think there's some sort of pain relieving property that we're seeing across the board with some of these. Asthma, people use the smoke for asthma. It's supposed to be good for the liver, and it's an insecticide. So the smoke is supposed to deter flying insects. You're supposed to avoid if pregnant and you want to keep your baby. So anything that's stimulating uterine contractions is probably not a good idea to be taking if you want to keep your baby. Or if you wanted to just, you don't want to be, if you want that. If you don't want that, then put it in the list. Put it in the list. And it's also it's also toxic in large amounts for a long period of time. Okay, so then black sage, which is interesting. Its medicinal properties are it's a restorative, an antioxidant, an anti-inflammatory, an antimicrobial, an antispasmodic, and an antiseptic, and an astringent. So it is a nutritive, like the seeds of black sage are high in protein. They were eaten raw, they were ground in a meal. They're high in vitamins and minerals. And it's also said to improve your memory. So salvia, black sage, again, and it ties into that like vivid dreams and like that memory function and into your mind. So it's all tied together. So, and also this actually did point to something that maybe has some real things for anti-inflammatory properties. It says it has D-terpenoids. And if you're going to list out D-terpenoids, maybe there is something to D-terpenoids, you know, like, I don't know if you, like lots of places say like the old rheumatism cure, anti-rheumatic, but few and far between do we see an actual possible reason why it's anti-inflammatory. So there we go. There's my list of things. This is for sage and for these, that's my list of things. So let's stop sharing here. We can come back. And yay, I think we did it just in time.
I know, that was good timing.
Perfect timing.
So next time, be like a little bit longer than the rest. This one I think is going to be a little bit longer than the rest, but I feel like we went through a lot of stuff, so not bad.
We did. And let me ask you a question. Do you have any thoughts about next time if you want to do like if you want to do an herb again, or if you want to do a spice, or if you want to do like a spice, or if you want to do like a fruit or an alternative food?
I'm pretty neutral. Do you have any thoughts one way or the other?
Let's do a fruit.
Okay.
Let's do fruits.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
That works out because I've been meaning to go to this little herb shop that we have down the street to get some specific dried fruit. So.
Okay, and I don't think that raw is you're contributing, but if you want to contribute, then you can have a say. If not, then you don't get a say.
I think fruit's a great choice. So there you go.
Okay, good. Okay, let's do fruits.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sound good.
Well, I will see you next Monday.
Okay. I'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
See you, love you. Bye.